You got to go all in. You got to have real skin in the game. If you don't have skin in the game, you won't care enough for it to be a success.
Obviously, I'm 18. I'm very young. Someone who's in their early 20s or in their 20s, what steps would you take for someone that age that wants to build financial independence and build something great?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think
Today we're going to be meeting with a guy who redefined luxury travel. He started his career in one of Australia's biggest law firms, but instead of building hours, he wanted to build something bigger. From leasing backpacker apartments in Melbourne, now building one of Australia's most successful travel companies. Meet Adam Schwab. This is The Real Build. When you look back at your life when you were a lawyer, what made you want to make the decision from going from law life to then moving to an entrepreneurship sort of role and building luxury escapes?
Yeah, it's actually, our journey was much more incremental than one extreme to the other. So I was a lawyer at a firm called Freehills in 2004 and 5. And my best mate from school was at ANZ Bank. And to his credit, this is back in 2004, so this is a long time ago. And back in 2004, being an entrepreneur wasn't cool like it is now. There's no Zuckerberg, there's no Musk, there's no Speak. All these people they existed. They weren't what they are now. Being an entrepreneur was Bond and Skase and these bankrupt dudes. So it was a very different era. And we just literally dipped our toe in. We had an idea for a business that we saw. Again, we were 24 at the time, so we were young at the time. And we thought, well, why don't we do this thing called this backpacking apartment business? So rented apartments, licensed them out to backpackers. And that was our first business. So that was our first foray. And this is the day where risk wasn't really a thing. So I actually took a leave of absence from my law firm. We started this business. A few months later, I told them I'm not going back. And we were away, and we just grew that business really slowly, bootstrapped it. So we had no external capital. We used our own, I think about 70 grand in savings. And we went from a business, we were literally putting together the furniture and slowly grew it. We then became a corporate apartments business, sort of 3 or 4 years later. And then a few years after that, we saw our first e-commerce business, which was a food delivery business, became part of Menulog eventually, and got sold. And then we stumbled across what was essentially the Groupon model. And then from that, we turned into Luxury Escape. So it was sort of a incremental journey from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And we're just learning along the way. We never could have gone from 2004 to Luxury Escapes. There's 10 years or 9 years of stuff that happened in between. That was like our 9-year apprenticeship.
Apparently, what happened during the Melbourne Cup period, you had some issues and faced a bit of problems and learnt a lot during that period of time through the year. I think it was quite busy, or can you tell me a little bit more about what happened during that period?
Yeah, so we set up our very first apartment, Melbourne Cup Day 2004, so like 21 years, almost the day when we were recording this. So we literally had no idea what we were doing. So we had two challenges. One is we had to sort of rent and set up this apartment. We'd never done it really, either of those things. And then we had to, more importantly, get customers paying us, because without customers paying you, there's no business, obviously, as all your small business owning customers would know, clients would know. So that was just a learning experience for us. So we had to learn how to sell, we had to learn how to market, how to advertise, how to pay the bills, how to furnish the apartment, how to speak to customers, how to solve problems. And essentially business is just a never-ending series of problem solving, and you've got to solve as quickly as you can, solve with the interest of the customer at forefront of your mind, but obviously you've got to make sure the business works. You can't just be so customer focused that the business loses money and you go out of business. So there's always a balance between different stakeholders, so staff, team, customers and shareholders. And so that three-legged stool and that 10-year apprenticeship taught us just how do we deal with customers, how do we slowly start a business, how do we learn incrementally, how do we bootstrap a business, so as in how do we start a business with no external capital or debt. And that's a lesson that you can't get taught at school. We have to sort of learn it for ourselves. And we're still learning. I think Reid Hoffman talks about being infinite learners, and we're absolutely infinite learners. Every day we're making mistakes. We're trying not to make it a second time. And it's been a 21-year journey, exactly a 21-year journey for us. And we're making as many mistakes today as we did 21 years ago. It's just there's probably more people to fix up those mistakes now, but we're learning, and it's been a pretty wild ride. But I think back to sort of 20 years ago, 18 years ago, 15 years ago, and we just know anything. But that's every person starting a business. So you've just got to find your way through, and hopefully the mistakes you make aren't catastrophic to the business. And it's pretty rare you can kill a business with one mistake. Usually it's like a plane crash. Like 8 things have to go wrong at the same time for a plane to crash. A bit like that with a business. You've got to get lots and lots of stuff wrong, and you've got a chance to course correct always. So we've always taken the approach that try and be as humble as you can, and really understand that you don't know much, but once you get something right and once you learn something, once you work out how to market, once you work out how to treat customers, then you really lean into that advantage and push it hard and try and build scale.
Obviously, with hotels, you do major discounts and work alongside hotels. How did you eventually build that trust with hotels to get clients in and bring them in, work alongside them?
Yeah, so we actually had to build trust on both sides of the marketplace. So we had to build trust with hotels, absolutely, and with customers. So one of the things we heard, so we've been in Luxury Escapes. Luxury Escapes itself is an 11-year-old brand, but the business is more like, 12-year-old brand. The business is more like 15 years old because we had a predecessor brand. And for both of them, the biggest sort of thing we heard for the first 10 years is, this sounds too good to be true. Like, how are you so much cheaper than everyone else? So there was a massive trust hurdle to hit with customers. That was a really big one. At the same time, you're right, we had to build trust with hotels. And part of the reason we created the Luxury Escapes brand name was to help with that hotel engagement. So if you think we used to be called deals.com, and we still have that brand, deals.com.au, it was a great, memorable brand, but it's not the kind of brand that a five-star hotel necessarily resonates with. So the reason we built Luxury Escapes is we needed a brand that was clean and pure, and Luxury Escapes sounds like what it is. We sell the world's best holidays and work with the world's best hotels. We needed a brand that matched that, which we got with Luxury Escapes. So we bought the brand, we bought the website, obviously trademarked it and all that stuff, and that's sort of how the brand came about. But a lot of what we do is making sure that hotels feel comfortable working with us. So we know we make hotels and hotel owners lots and lots of money. The way we structure our campaigns, yes, they're notionally discounted to customers, which is what customers love it, but we're also building solutions for hotels, and we're merging the both. So a hotel might say, I've got a spa that's not that full, and we'll include spa packages, spa massages or facials or whatever in the package, so the customer's really happy, and the hotel's really happy because they had an empty spa and now they're getting monetizing that asset. So we'll work with our partners just to make sure that we can make them lots and lots of money, but at the same time providing great value to our customers.
When you were building up Luxury Escapes, what was one of the biggest setbacks that you had, that someone who's just wanting to start out, what would be one piece of advice you'd give to someone who wants to start up something in the niche of hotels?
I think being specific to us, I've got a few rules in business that I think are more generally applicable than someone like a travel business. And I think the first one is, don't force an idea. So back in my day, back in our day, being an entrepreneur wasn't cool. But now it's cool. Everyone wants to do it. So people are sort of quitting their jobs or whatnot, and I think that's great. I'd love to see lots more entrepreneurs and people in Australia creating lots of value. But I think the challenge is you don't want to do that till you've got an idea that actually is a genuine idea and sustainable. So don't quit your job, go home and start writing a notebook hoping an idea comes to you. What you want to try and do is think of a problem you can solve in day-to-day life, and once you've got that problem, once you think you're the one who can solve it, or you and a co-founder or co-founders, then go and do it. So get the cart and the horse in the right order, is sort of point one. Point two is, when you have that great idea, don't sort of half-ass it. I'm not a big fan in side hustles. Like, a small side hustle's fine till a point, but once you've got that idea, forget the side hustle. You got to go all in. You got to have real skin in the game. If you don't have skin in the game, you won't care enough for it to be a success. Startups are a blood sport. Like, if you're not fully in it, you're going to lose. You're going to lose to somebody who's more in it than you. So the 1 and 2 sound contradictory, but actually not. It's wait for that idea. Once that idea comes, go really hard. Third rule, again, this is a general business rule, is we've got 600 plus team members in the business, but if someone's not working, so whether it's your fault, their fault, whoever, it's not a great fit for the business, don't keep them for 6 months or 12 months thinking you're helping them out, doing them a favour. Yeah, don't fire someone on Christmas Eve, but in generally speaking, the quicker you move someone on who's not right, the better for them, the better for you. Chances are they're probably having a terrible time, they're probably hating life, and obviously it's not good for their co-workers, your employees who don't want to be carrying someone who's not contributing, and obviously it's not great for the business. So I don't think there's ever been an instance where somebody's left the business, as in they've left because we've asked them to, where both you and that person haven't been relieved in 6 or 12 months' time. So it sounds like it's hard, it's like ending a bad relationship, but ultimately there's no benefit in staying in a bad relationship with a partner, a girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife or whatever it is. Same with team members. Don't flog a dead horse, so to speak. You're much better off just ending it, biting the bullet, making the hard call. It's always going to be a tough conversation, but sometimes you find that conversation is actually a lot less tough than you thought, and that's actually the majority of times the person you're speaking to is actually relieved. Not 100% of the time, because there is some times where the person's genuinely disappointed, but in the majority of cases, the person is relieved, and they probably wanted to quit themselves, probably didn't want to do it, or thought it'd be lots of reasons why people wouldn't. So that's probably the three rules of business that we try and stick to. Easier said than done, especially sort of rule three. But that's some things that we've sort of learned over the 21 years.
When COVID hit, what did you guys do to sustain your company, and how did you move forward with the whole pandemic, especially within Melbourne? How did you move past that and sustain?
Yeah, it's interesting. So COVID obviously was not great for travel, given we effectively, most of our business, not all of it, we do a lot of Australia to Australia, which was really one of our saviours, but a lot of our business was Australia offshore, Bali, Thailand, Maldives, Vietnam, Fiji, wherever. So that business obviously stopped because you couldn't leave the country. We did have a nice Australia to Australia business. That's about half our business. So we were able to we lost a lot of revenue, we were losing money, but we were able to sort of be okay because of that and because of some overseas source markets we have. So clearly it was bad, but it could have been worse. And we used COVID as a real opportunity to pivot the business, to be really aggressive. Every other travel business on earth pretty much fired people, a lot of people, even the great ones, even the Booking.coms, the Flight Centres, these are incredible travel businesses. The Airbnbs, they fired 10, 20, 30, 40% of our workforce. We didn't fire a single person, we actually increased our team. So we really lent into it. It was risky because we had obviously cash runway, but we knew COVID would end at some point. We didn't know the day, but we knew it would end at some point. We got to end up getting pretty close, but ultimately we took it as an opportunity to get on our toes, not our heels, and we were able to burst out of COVID. And we're now sort of 3 to 4x the business, and it's a far, far better business than it was pre-COVID. So we've grown our tech team from 30 to 140. Our team is next level now. Pre-COVID, we had some amazing generalists, as in people who are just good almost by luck, or really good. And since COVID, we're really focused on how do we get specialists, how do we get specialist designers, how do we get specialist product people, special engineers, specialist partnership people, and then we really be able to sort of deep dive into what we need from a business and pick and recruit some incredible people. So it actually makes our business a lot easier now because of the talent we have under these four walls, or the four walls around the offices around the world. It's a very different situation than pre-COVID.
I know one of the things that I've seen, and I'm not sure if this is true, I'm hoping it's true, but apparently you go barefoot golf hitting at night time. Can you tell me a little bit about why you do that and about your lifestyle and your mentality with those sort of things?
Did a half ride. I play golf in the dark, but with shoes, and I run barefoot. So half ride. So I do go out barefoot. So when I run, I don't use shoes, and that's really because shoes give you injuries. Yeah. And there's heaps of science to say that, but more importantly, I used to get heaps of injuries, stopped wearing shoes 14 years ago, haven't had injuries since. Other than a broken leg, that was a skiing thing, not a running thing. So haven't injured myself running in 14 years, where I was injuring myself all the time. Yeah. That's the sort of background behind the barefoot running stuff. And the night golf stuff, well, I start at 5 or 5:30 a.m. or whatever it is, 6 a.m. in winter, just so I can get it done in 2 hours. So get 8 holes done pretty quick. That's with shoes. It would be very pleasant playing golf with no shoes. It's muddy and all that stuff. But you could, but it wouldn't be very pleasant. So I do the things pretty early in the morning, some without shoes, some with. But also because I've got kids at school, primary school age kids, and obviously fair workload here at Lux. So it's a good way to get everything done. And otherwise, you're playing golf from 8 till 12, it's half a day gone. So I'll do that once a month when I can. I've had a great course, but generally speaking, I try and go to a local course and up and done by 8 o'clock.
How do you manage workflow with lifestyle, and you have a family, so how do you manage all that as a business owner? Yeah,
I think it's a lot easier as the business gets bigger. So we've got 600 plus people now. A lot of people are amazing. That makes it easier. I think there's this myth that the business get harder as it gets bigger. You think the big company CEOs get paid all this money. Ultimately, as it gets bigger, it gets easier. There's no question. As we've got bigger, we've got this incredible team now. It's much easier for me because I've got all these great people around. Back in year one, when we had a handful of people, we were doing everything. I was doing customer support, I was doing content, I was doing finance, I was doing sales, you do everything. As you get bigger, we got a 140 person dev team, we've got a 200 person call center, we've got a 30, 40 person content business. So we've got all these great, and then people manage them. So all these amazing people doing the jobs I used to do or myself. So obviously you get a much higher quality of output when there's always people here. So it's been a journey. We were the first. I've only ever been the youngest ever team member and the boss. I've never had anything in between. But it's been a great learning experience, and so we pick up stuff every day that we don't know. But it's certainly much more fun, much easier these days than back in the early days where you're doing everything.
What was your life like beforehand, and what made you want to get into the law life in general?
I actually did law at uni, so I went straight to school to law at uni to work. There was no gaps. Now people take gap years and all that stuff. But back then, I did a few ski seasons in between uni, but we literally went from school to uni to job without missing a month. So this is what people did back then. I'm not sure it's as common now, but so when I was young, I always wanted to be a lawyer, not really knowing exactly what was involved. And obviously, after I became a lawyer, I realised how boring it is. But I've still got some amazing friends from Freehills and love going back there and seeing everybody. But I was never meant to be a long-term lawyer, so it worked out for the best.
A lot of entrepreneurs sort of tend to either sink or swim. That's a big saying that goes around in the industry. What separates someone with a business like Luxury Escapes, and how do they separate themselves from someone who sinks or swims?
Frankly, most of it's luck, to be honest. Like, there's no doubt that you've got to be able to put the work in and have a degree of smarts, but ultimately, so much depends on right place, right time, and then getting a run. So me and Jez and I were born in middle-class families, got to go to private schools, got to go to uni, got to get good jobs, had built a bit of savings. So we had this amazing rails run that you might not get living in Melbourne, all this stuff. So I think, and then when we started deals.com.au, that was the perfect time to start that. It was the sort of craze, and we started Luxury Escapes at the right time. So we've just been constantly lucky. And you got to make the most of your luck, but when you say, is it luck or skill and hard work, it's like, to me, it's 100% luck. There's a lot of hardworking, skillful people who haven't had that luck, so they're doing whatever job, but we worked as hard or as smart as a big chunk of people, but we just had a great run. And just rode that luck and still ride this luck. So it's, I love to say it's something in particular, but I don't think it is.
What was the moment that you realised with Luxury Escapes that you're like, oh wow, we've made it. We've gone to this point where obviously maybe you still haven't had that feeling, and maybe you haven't, but was there a point in your career where you said, I've actually got the foundation set up here and I'm ready to keep moving forward?
Yeah, I love this question. Maybe very recently, but even then, I think as most founders, and you speak to a few, most founders are never satisfied. So we're never done. We're always but I think when you go out and say, I work at Luxury Escapes, and most people I speak to are taken aback and super, feels like they're impressed versus 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, people sort of eyes glaze over and don't know what the hell you're talking about. So it's probably, it's incremental. Every year more and more people hear about us or use it or love it, and we've got rich listers to celebs to whoever who use us a lot. And ultimately, because we don't take much money out of the business, we don't consider ourselves particularly successful or rich or anything like that. We just some paper wealth maybe, and maybe that comes good one day, maybe it doesn't. But we want to build the best business we can that treats customers incredibly well, that makes lots of money for our hotels, that has an incredible team that's super loyal. And if all those things happen, we think we'll get a good financial result in the end. But that's the output, that's not the input.
If you were starting everything all over again today, with where you are now, but with the same mindset, the same ambition, what would you do differently in 2025, especially with the new gen AI and everything sort of changing the world? What would you do differently?
Yeah, it's so hard to compare because the tools are so different now with the Lovables of this world and all that sort of stuff. So, I'm not sure I'll do an e-commerce business ever again for a start. So, Luxury Escapes is virtual, it's a bit different. We had a bunch of just product businesses that I definitely wouldn't do that. I think it's a really hard question to answer in the counterfactual because obviously we're sort of happy doing what we're doing. But I think as long as you find something that you think you can think like the customer, if you solve a problem that relates to you in your day-to-day life, is always a great start. And obviously got to work super hard and hopefully luck comes your way. But it's really hard to prescribe.
To someone who's in their early 20s or in their 20s, what steps would you take for someone that age that wants to build financial independence and build something great?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think, you can go down really two paths, or multiple paths. The two clear ones is you can start your own business, you can work for someone else. And both are great paths. Just because we've had a good run and a lot of luck building our business doesn't mean I think everybody should do that. I think there's a lot of people who aren't suited to building your own business. So I think you need to work out, what am I really suited for? Some people are really great to be working for someone. And you can build an amazing life, an amazing career, and do incredibly well by doing that. So I don't just because we chose this path, that's because we were really suited to be entrepreneurs. And we could have failed. That does not say that was guaranteed success, but our personalities are risk-seeking. We sort of work pretty hard, but we're well suited to owning our own thing. That's not for everyone. So there's are you good at it? Is the one. The other thing is just how you live your life. And Scott Galloway has a great podcast that talks about being wealthy is just simply spending less than you earn. And that you could be earning $1,000 a week and spending 800 and you're wealthy. You could be earning $1 million a week, spending 1.5 and you're poor. So I think it's really controlling your expenses is the main thing. And I saw some data on US high school kids who smoke, and it's dropped from 40% to like 1% now in the U, which is incredible. And doing things like smoking, drinking coffee, taking drugs, all this stuff is super expensive. So I'm not saying don't do any of that stuff. That's what people can do what they want. But if you want to create a life of, call it, where you're not worried about money or where you want to be financially successful, that's simply spending less than you earn. So whatever you're earning, when I was earning $5.90 an hour working at a cafe, as long as I was spending less, I was wealthy. And so I think it's really understanding, and this is obviously what banks and mortgage brokers do when you're buying a house. They look at your expenses as much as they look at your income. It's the net difference. So before you get to that point, how do you train yourself to simply spend as little as possible? And that will make you successful, financially successful, whether you're earning 50 grand a year or $1 million a year, whatever it is. And we've always tried to be, certainly in our business, Jeff Bezos holds this principle, used to hold this principle at Amazon, is frugality is important. We're not flying business class, we're using points if we are, we're not paying for business class, we're not, we haven't got the fanciest office in the city, we got nice offices not near the city, but we're paying half as much as you pay. So we're always looking, how do we get great value? And this is a bit luxury escapes for customers. How do we give great value but not spend that much? Because we want to make sure we minimise our expenses as much as possible. That's where when money gets getting wasted and frittered, whether that's in business or personal life, you don't get that back. So you protect your capital. It's really precious. And the less you can spend, the more freedom you'll get down the track.
What Adam Schwab said has some real value to it, and genuinely I feel inspired by what he said, and I hope you guys do too. A lot of people who are starting a business or who want to start a business in this new generation with AI and all these new things coming out genuinely need to hear what he has to say. I hope you guys gain some real value from that. If you would like more of these interviews, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment on what you think about the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.